Na lived in a perpetual state of calm, or at least that's what it looked like from the outside. Her house in the rolling suburbs of Atlanta seemed idyllic: blooming garden, quiet mornings, a stable life with her husband Robert. He was a decent man, a mechanic who left the house each morning at dawn, hands already stained with grease, mind preoccupied with engines and clients. He wasn't affectionate, but he was dependable, predictable, and perhaps that's where it all began. 5 years of marriage had dulled the edges of passion. The fiery nights and stolen cues had faded into habitual paces and polite conversation. They shared meals, they shared space, but no longer each other. Na had made peace with it, or so she believed. Then came Jason, Robert's son from a previous marriage. Jason had moved in 2 years ago to finish his degree in environmental studies. At 22, he was quiet, observant, intense. Na never tried to be his mother. She approached him with respect and a gentle distance, hoping to make the household feel like home without stepping over unseen lines. But with time, something shifted. He was no longer just a guest, he became a presence, subtle, attentive, magnetic in a way that made her skin tingle without reason. That morning, the sky was just beginning to glow. Robert's truck rolled down the gravel driveway, Na still in her robe stood by the kitchen window sipping coffee, the warm ceramic grounding her in silence. The house was still too. Then came the sound of footsteps, soft, deliberate. Jason entered the kitchen dressed in a black t-shirt and loose joggers. His hair was pulled back neatly, his eyes more awake than the hour should have allowed. He didn't greet her with words. He simply looked at her in a way that made her chest tighten. Then he spoke. "I've been studying massage therapy, mind, body connection, tension release. I need someone to practice on." Her mug paused midair. "I thought maybe you'd be willing." The request hung in the air, bold, strange, inappropriate, and yet her lips didn't say no. Later that morning, she found herself lying face down in his room, a towel over her back, the faint scent of sandalwood in the air. A candle flickered beside the bed. The soft piano music, barely audible, felt like something from a movie. His touch began at her shoulders, gentle, structured, but as his hands moved, her thoughts unraveled. Each press of his fingers felt like unlocking a part of her she had buried long ago. Her breathing slowed, the world quieted, and then he asked her to turn over. She hesitated but obeyed. Their eyes met. What happened next wasn't planned. It wasn't spoken, it was a gravity they couldn't resist. He kissed her softly at first, almost questioning. She didn't pull away. When it ended, she dressed in silence and told him it couldn't happen again, but her voice trembled because a part of her had awakened and she didn't know how to put it back to sleep. Days passed like walking through fog, glances that lingered, conversations that never fully formed. Robert, oblivious, spoke of car parts and customer complaints, while Na sat across from him wondering when she had stopped being seen. Then came the note. "I don't want to be the reason you unravel." Jason had written, "I'm going away for a while." His absence was a wound, his mug in the kitchen untouched, his room too quiet. She would walk by the door and linger, telling herself not to care, but she did. A week later, he returned, more distant, more mature. The air between them was charged. One night, a storm lit the sky. Robert was away for the evening. Jason sat across from her in the living room, eyes dark. "I need to know," he said. "Was it real for you?" Na didn't speak. She stood, walked to him. This time she kissed him first. It wasn't impulsive. It was chosen, a moment carved in silence. The next morning, he was gone again. This time he left a letter. "This had to happen so we'd understand the limits of what we are, but thank you for letting me believe, just for a moment, that love didn't have to ask permission." She folded the letter into the pages of a book she kept hidden, and life, as always, moved on. Robert never knew, or maybe he did in his own quiet way. He never asked why her eyes looked distant on certain mornings, or why she paused at the window a little longer than usual. Months passed, then one day a letter arrived, no return address, from Jason, writing from Oregon. He worked in forest conservation now, he said. The way leaves brushed his skin reminded him of that morning. She had stopped expecting closure, but hoped she had found peace. She read it over and over. The ink began to fade. She never wrote back, but sometimes late at night she would hold that letter, look up at the stars, and wonder if he was doing the same. And in those moments, she no longer felt like a woman trapped in silence. She felt seen. If you've ever felt desire and duty pulling in opposite directions, comment if you've ever stood between what you wanted and what you were told was right. Subscribe for more stories that say what many don't dare to speak.